Hello students, and welcome to this video for Excel Chapter 1 hands-on exercise number 1. Congratulations on making it and surviving here through a quarter of the school year. So we're going to be doing one subject, one program per quarter. We did Microsoft Word for our first quarter of the school year. Now for the second quarter we're going to be working on Microsoft Excel. Now obviously Microsoft Word is dealing with word processing. We're talking about research papers. We're talking about other Word documents, so things with lots of words on them. Where with Excel, we're going to be dealing with things called spreadsheets, and we're going to be dealing with data specifically. So I'm going to be giving a little bit of explanation stuff. So right now what I would recommend doing is make this video full screen so you can watch and see what I'm explaining, because I'm going to explain some things first and then I'm going to actually go through the exercise with you. So watch this first and then we will do that. Get to the exercise. If you want, you can turn your textbook to page 404 with me. We're going to be talking through some of the information here, and then of course we'll get to the exercise. So 404, otherwise just watch the video. Now when we are working on in Excel, you can see here I don't have a lot of templates up here. You might on your computer, it just depends on your computer. You can see blank workbook. Okay? A workbook is a collection of one or more related worksheets contained within a single file. So each file is a blank workbook, and on it you can have multiple sheets. So you can see down here in the corner I have sheet number 1. This is a worksheet right here, and I can add to and have multiple worksheets in my workbook. So that's the idea. There's a spreadsheet, which is a worksheet, and then of course a workbook. Okay, so you're going to be getting quizzed eventually on these terms, so it's good to figure it out, get familiarized with it. On page 4 or 5 there is figure 1.2. I'm going to go and talk through these things quickly. Now there is the name box right up here, so you can see A1. It's kind of like Battleship. If you ever played as a kid growing up, or you've played it now, it is a fun game. But Battleship, the whole idea, each column has a letter attached to it. So I've got column C, and I have all of my rows. So rows are left and right, columns are up and down, and of course my rows each have a number. And so if I want to call out a specific cell, I can go and look at the name box and it'll tell me which it is. So I know this is P and then 22 because of where it's lined up. You also notice when I click on the cell, that's what these boxes are called, it's a cell, it will turn green, and that tells me it's the active cell. Active cell means it's a cell that if I were to type, things would go into it. So that's what the active cell is, and this is the name box up here too. You also have up here a couple of buttons. We have our cancel button, so maybe you type something in up here. I can type it in down here, or I can type it in what's called the formula bar. The formula bar, so we're using math more with this one. And you can see there's my cancel button, there's my enter button, and there's my insert function button, which we use a little bit with Microsoft Word. So that's us using formulas and math for managing our data here. Now the formula bar is right here, and this is where I would type it in. So when in Microsoft Word, you might remember typing in equals F3 multiplied by 0.25 plus F3. We were typing in a formula, and we're also using functions, and so that's what the formula bar is for. We use it a little bit in Word, but now we're going more in depth with it. So, and I can push enter, or I could have clicked over here and it puts in my formula, and of course it's 0 because there's no information in these cells it's referring to. You have the select all option, so the triangle at the intersection of the row and column headings. If I click this right here, that's the select all button. I do have the row headings, which we said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are my columns headings, A, B, C, D. So columns are letters, rows are numbers. There is a sheet tab, so I have multiple sheets. So you notice I made a change to worksheet 2, but if I go to worksheet 1, you'll notice there's nothing there. So you can do different sheets that way. Of course, this is my new sheet button right here. I can right click on it and it gives me a few options that we'll play around with later as well. There's sheet navigation, or tab navigation, so right down here, that's what this is referring to. Of course, the status bar is down here, right here where it says ready. That gives me an idea of here it says the row at the bottom, it displays information about a selected command or operation in progress. So for example, it displays select destination and press enter or choose paste after you use the copy command. So right now it just says ready, but it'll change based on what you do. And then of course view controls, those are all down here. It's a little bit different than what we had before. This is of course normal. And then of course we have our other option here, which we have page layout view, which does it this way. It just depends on what purposes you have. And then of course page break preview. So this gives you a lot of different options there. You'll notice when I do go back to my normal one, it actually shows me where the page would cut off, which is a nice thing as well if you're planning on printing. And then of course zoom control we've used before, so we don't have to go into that. When you go to enter information into a cell, you already saw me do it. I have to click on the cell I want first, or I could use my arrow keys to get there as well. And you will type in whatever it is. It might be letters, it might be numbers, but that's how you enter in information with it. And then of course you have as well, you can move up and down with the enter button or shift and enter. And of course I can push tab to go to the right, or I can hold on shift and push tab to go back. There's lots of options for movement and things like that. Now something also you'll notice here is there is autofill. If I type something in one column or one cell and I start typing it in another one, it will autofill. So you notice I'm just typing S, it fills the rest of the word something in. So there's autofill to complete a sequence, which is nice. And then of course something we're going to be working with today is the fill handle. You'll notice this dot in the bottom right corner, that's the fill handle. If I click on it and drag it, you'll notice it's going to fill in with what I have up here. Okay, and now I can click on it and choose a few options. There's copy cells, there's fill formatting only, fill without formatting, and flash fill. And we're going to play with those a little bit more here in the exercise. Now when we're entering numbers, those are called values. When you enter date and times, there's also different things you can do with that. And then one other thing I'm going to show you here before we get started with the exercise. I can select certain cells, and then up here is my editing group, and then of course my cells group. Now if I want to add a cell or delete, I can do that, or format. But what I want to look at is the clear button. So we have our clear option. I can choose the clear all, where it gets rid of everything. I could choose to do clear contents, where it gets rid of just of the words and it keeps the formatting that maybe I would have had. And then of course a couple other options there. So that's just a brief overview of some of the things we're going to be using today. So now we're on page 413 of our textbook, and we're going to actually get started with our exercise. So I'm going to open up the file that I downloaded. Let's make sure it's recording good. I'm going to open up the file I downloaded from the internet for our exercise. So we are in Excel. You notice I clicked down here. We're not in Microsoft Word anymore. This isn't Kansas anymore. It's now Excel. So I'm going to go to downloads, and then of course you can see here it's just showing my Excel files, and I need E1H1 markup. That's step A on page 413. So it's going to open it up right here, E1H1 markup. And now what we're going to do is we're going to click Enable Editing just like we normally do, and it says we need to save it with our last and first name. So I'm clicking File, Save As, and of course I'm choosing Browse, and then going to the appropriate folder. Now I'm going to go to Documents, of course the folder I've used. You're going to save it to your flash drive like you've been instructed for class. So you're just adding your first and last name, or your last and first name. Now you notice with Excel it shows .xlsx. That's the Excel end tag, so to speak. It's different from Word. I'm going to press enter and save it. It says it already exists. Well, I'm going to go ahead and replace it. Okay, now you'll notice here we have, it says for step B, click cell A5, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit to help you guys see this, hopefully a little bit better. Okay, so remember, A is our column, 5 is our row. So I'm actually clicking, so cell A5, so right here under the word product, and I'm typing in computer system. You'll notice it goes past the cell, and then it says to press enter, and it looks like that. That's normal. That's fine. Now you'll notice though when I click B5, it doesn't show up in the formula box. It's all in cell A5. So even though cell A5 leaks into B5, it doesn't actually show up there. Okay, so I'm down here because I typed in computer system. Then it says type color laser printer in cell A6. So I'm in cell A6, and you'll notice it wanted to put in computer, it wanted to autofill because of what I had typed, and then I push enter. And then it says continue typing the rest of the text in cells A7 through A10 as shown in figure 1.8. So I'm going to type those in. I want you to do that as well. We're on page 413. So I have filing cabinet, desk, chair. I'm pushing enter each time to make it move down. And then 27 inch, so you know quotation marks, and it's going to look something like this. So if you need to pause the video, do that. Otherwise, I'm going to be continuing to move on here. Next thing we're going to do here is step E on the next page. It says click Save in the Quick Access Toolbar. So up here is our Quick Access Toolbar. I have a couple things up here. I'm going to click Save, and then we're going to get into step 2 on page 414. So it says you want to assign a product code for each product on sale. So we typed in a product. We're going to assign consecutive numbers 101 through 106. So what we're going to do, it says click in cell B5. Now you notice I'm clicking on B5. There's the word system there, but it doesn't show up because remember it's in cell A5. So I've clicked on cell B5 and it says type 101, and then it says hold down Control and push enter. Now you notice here it says the product name computer system no longer overlaps in column B after you enter the data into cell B5. The data in cell A5 is not deleted. The rest of the label is just hidden until you increase the column width later. So I held down Control Enter, did that. It says position the pointer on the fill handle in the bottom right corner. Now the reason we held down Control is notice it kept the active cell here. We didn't go down one. Now it says move our mouse to the fill handle. That's right there. And then it says it looks like a little black plus sign, which it does. It says double click the B6 fill handle. So I have my mouse right up here. I double click, and you'll notice it makes copies of 101 through these cells right here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go and click on autofill options. If you go down to the bottom of the active cells, this is the autofill options button. Click on that, and we're going to choose, instead of copy cells, we're going to choose fill series. And you notice because it's a series, it's in consecutive order. So 101, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 106. Alright, we finished step 2. Very quick there. We're on step 3 now. Step 3. So now that you figured it out, or now that you've entered the descriptive labels and item numbers, you'll enter the cost and markup rate for each product. So it says click cell C5. So right here, column C, row 5. Right there under cost. It says type 400. And then press enter. This is step A. And it says type the remaining costs in the cells C6 through C10. So just going all the way down here, it's in your textbook on that page. So 457.7, 68.75, excuse me, step 5, 700, and 195. So I type in that information, double check, make sure it's accurate. And that was step B. Then it says step C, click cell D5. So under markup retail, I've got column D, row 5. So markup retail, it looks like. And that says type 0.5 and then push enter. And of course it says type the remaining. So I typed in 0.75, 0.905, 1, 1.857, 0.835. Just like that. So enter in those numbers, double check, make sure they're correct, and then we're moving on here to the last step, step 4 on page 416. We're actually almost done with this exercise. So it's a short exercise, but a little bit of a longer video just because the information. All right. As you review the worksheet, you realize you need to provide a date to indicate when the sales start. So this is about a sale. So we're going to enter that information in. It says step A, click cell A2, so cell A2. So this is column A, row 2, so cell A2. Type 9/1 and then push enter. Now you notice I put 9/1 in, and it aligns and switches to 1 September. So 9/1. Then it says click cell A2, and we're going to choose clear from the editing group, and we're going to choose clear all. So we select this cell A2, choose clear, and then clear all. So it gets rid of that date. Now we're going to type it in a little differently for this. 9/1/2018 in cell A2. And then I'm going to press Control, hold down Control, and push Enter. So you notice the active cell stays the same. When you type the month, day, and year, such as 9/1/2018, Excel enters the date in that format. Now what we're going to do is we're going to save the workbook, and it says keep the workbook open if you're planning on continuing with the next hands-on exercise. Otherwise, if not, close the workbook and exit Excel. So we're going to exit out of it. You're going to be submitting this file right here, and it's going to look exactly like this. So ensure that it does, and that is how you complete Excel Chapter 1 hands-on exercise number 1.